Hello, darlings. Welcome back to the Artist Within podcast. I am your host, Adela Hittell, and this podcast is produced by Think Project Human, a new way to think about mental and emotional health. And our whole mission is to bridge the gaps where they can be, and it starts with one conversation at a time. We understand that humanity is navigating so many things, and every one of us is navigating something. And so this space, this podcast, these conversations are one way and a space for us to be able to come together, have capacity to hold each other for a moment, have a conversation on deeper levels, and to share what we're doing as we're going through it, as we're growing, as we're creating the artists within. And I'm really excited for the season 2 that we've been doing. Season 2 has been amazing so far. I've had quite a few of my own podcasts I've recorded. I've not released anything yet, you guys. I'm sorry. I know, I'm slacking, but that's okay. When I do, you'll be like, oh, okay, it was for the right time, right place, right season. However, I am bringing you a whole bunch of new voices. And I didn't mean to say the word bunch. I don't like that word. But what's the word? See, this is ADHD working in progress, in action as I'm navigating. But I'm bringing you new voices. How about that? We're bringing you new voices, new talents, and some recurring voices. This week, we just released our new episode with Miss Callie Farnsworth. She's a 16-year-old human being who is navigating challenges in her own life with her injuries and her health, and also going through to high school, adulthood, leadership roles, everything else in between. And it's an amazing podcast. I really enjoyed having that conversation. And what stuck with me away from that was that she really said it, and it's the title of the podcast: if it hurts, might as well let it hurt doing what I love. And isn't that literally the truth about everything? And one of the things that I can attest to, it's hurt. It's hurt a lot, but I love what I do. And so can my next guest, who has been on the podcast quite a few times now, and who's also our participant in the Define the Narrative documentary. And we've seen her grow over these last couple years. I've seen her grow, and it's really amazing. Again, this is why we exist, to showcase the growth, to showcase the humans around us who are here and who are navigating, and the ones we know, so that the narrative of who we are gets to be redefined because we're here, not because of society or you. No offense, I like you, but not that much. So, you don't get to define my narrative. I do. And the idea that each of us has that opinion, has that capacity, has that ability, has even that fortitude to do that, it's our responsibility and accountability to step forward and make sure that we are doing that in a way that is peaceful, structural, stable to your life, whatever that may mean to you. For me, again, it's my home first. And so I'm really excited to introduce again our next guest, Claire Louise Huder, who is a fantastic human being. And I'll give her the intro as she comes on. So let me get her on the screen here. Here she is. Hi, my love. How are you?
I'm
Good.
well. Hello.
Good. Okay, so let me give you a little intro to our humans. You are a returning guest, so those of you who have not listened and who have not heard her episodes in the past, please do go do so, because again, a lot of good insight, a lot of growth you'll get to see. And then I'm so excited for what we'll get to talk about today, too. So Claire is an actor, writer, director, producer, and founder of Cinder Pictures LLC. Originally from North Michigan and now based in Florida, she uses film, music, writing, and visual art to explore the human experience. Claire is also a longtime Project Human supporter and a volunteer, and a mental and emotional health advocate who believes in the power of creativity, meaningful conversation, and authentic human connection. Her work includes the award-winning short films Perception and Shadow Man, and she's got many, many other things to do, and of course, part of our documentary, Define the Narrative, coming out very soon. Very, very soon, hopefully. Anyway, welcome to the show. Welcome back again. I'm so excited to talk to you back again. Is there anything I missed in that intro that you want to add on to, or you would like to announce or add on right off the bat, so that as a returning, you get that?
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with my question. So, who is Claire today compared to the person who joined us for like the first or second conversation a couple years ago, or even this last podcast we did? Who is she sitting in front of me today? How would you describe her today?
I'd say more resilient. She's been put through the ringer in more different ways because I have taken on more responsibility and in tow have also like experienced the challenges and also the positives that have both come with it. So it has helped me build that resilient foundation even more, helped me bounce back even stronger, faster, better. Like I'm more rubbery now, like
I
more
love
resilient.
that. I'm more rubbery now. What What's one thing that you can say that you've seen a pattern in your life that's made you realize that you're more rubbery? If that question makes sense.
It is honestly that resilience. It's the fact that I keep coming back. The fact that, I've stepped away from, let's say like with the film, I've stepped away from the Jacksonville film community, somewhat by moving to Orlando the past couple of years and then coming back and finding my own identity as a director and writer and producer. And, you know, stepping back and having those bounce backs, those reintroductions in a way have given me that, as I've said before, that foundation. It's helped me realize that I can do it. And not just, doing it with Jacksonville, but, when I was introducing myself to Orlando and establishing myself there, introducing myself further downstate and establishing connections all over Florida now, it's finding out that I have that resilience to be able to go back to those communities. I still have those footholds. I still have that foundation.
I love that. I love that because I remember when we met years ago. We're not old, you guys. We're very, very young, just so you know. In our 15s. No, probably my 25s. I think I like my 20s. They weren't that bad. But I remember that. And I remember being so young. And I don't mean so young like in age, but I mean in just your spirit, in just your whole existence for a minute, just being so young. And as we navigated and started conversations, what's one thing now that you found that kind of resilient trait? How has Project Human like helped you navigate that? And how has the opportunities to hold conversations or be in spaces helped you see that?
Project Human has honestly, through myself given me the chance to do it and through participating with events. With the self-reflection program, that gave me the opportunity to delve, inside and do the work myself. And, actually be like, hey, you actually have to take this step yourself. Stop relying on everyone else to do it. You need to know yourself first. And then on kind of the flip side, because it's all related, but kind of on the flip side, more in-person stuff, Project Human, it gives you the opportunity to go out and also be tangible within the community in regards to, what you're going through or what you care about, any of that, and help yourself or help other people that way.
Mm-hmm.
There we
So, looking back, what entered your life? Like when we're looking back in we all have ideas in school and we all have ideas of what we're going to go through and where you are today. And like I said, going back to where we met, um, we all have a plan and we all have a thought of how something's going to go. I particularly am dealing with that right now, have a plan, have a thing of how something could go. And it's obviously not because, well, that's how plans work. But what when you look back on your trajectory and you look back and you look where you're at now, did you think that this is where you would be? And if or would you was there a moment in your life that it paused you to have to change your trajectory, but you're still where you wanted to be, if that makes sense.
It does. And I kind of chuckle because I'm like, definitely not. This is definitely not where I thought I would be, but in a way, it kind of is. Because I always thought that I'd be an opera singer, traveling the world singing in opera companies and singing Mozart in particular, and doing big dramatic and performing and and affecting people and sharing stories. And that trajectory really changed. I had to leave school. I had the assault and I had to find myself and recover from that, pretty much completely find myself completely after that. So switching from that, switching my whole even place where I lived, like almost across the country from north to south in a way, it really changed my trajectory. So instead of being an opera singer, I found a different creative outlet. So I still stuck with that creative, and I still essentially found a way to tell those stories, to perform, to get that dramatic part that I still love, out, but to also still get that meaningful storytelling, affecting people emotionally part that I really wanted to do. So in a way, I never thought that I'd be doing film. I never thought that I'd be writing or directing. I always thought I'd be in front of the camera, and I still am a lot, but it's interesting to see how it changed and completely changed, but not really.
Right,
It's
right.
still
You're
powerful.
still
Yes, but no.
Yeah, you're still in the in the realm of expression and in the realm of arts and creativity, but a different form, right? And we talk about that all the time at Project Human, and we talk about how, y- to me, washing your dishes is artwork. Like, certain people like how they like their stuff, me included. Okay, and so or folding your laundry, learning how to do that, to literally painting, on a canvas, or performing, or any other medium of expression that uses your body, your voice, your mind, your energy to create that connection, to create a moment where, one, you get to relate something that you don't maybe necessarily have the words to speak in language like we are right now, but to express it in a form of emotion, in a form of a feeling that touches you so deeply, that resonates with you, that brings your childhood back for a minute, or that puts you in a position where you can look back at a moment where it was like, man, that sucked so hard. But God, I'm so thankful to be here and alive today and doing what I'm doing. Like, look at the balance, as you mentioned earlier. Look at the balance of how one thing balances other. Is it, as smooth, or the scale smooth? No. Is the seesaw, polished, or no? It's rusty and it's got creaks and it's like all kinds of ways. But am I fluctuating with that? And then when you realize that that's life, it fluctuates with that, then you know that you'll have where you're really up, and then something's going to come down that's going to be a little bit heavier, that's going to put you down to the ground, and you're going to have to really navigate and learn how to walk and not float so high in the sky. That's what, at least, that's what my husband tells me when I'm flying away. I'm like, I'm a bird. And he's like, come back down to earth, Adela. That's where you live. But it's that idea, right? Knowing that right. And you know me, that's how I'm always. I'm like, I'm a bird always, no matter where I'm at. But sometimes the bird will get hit with a stone, okay? And she'll get hit hard and then be down. But having that ability to express and holding on to something that you love, like opera and film, how did the integration into the film community change you for where you are right now, what you want to do? You started as being in that opera world and the musical and theater side of it. How did that coming to Jacksonville here and getting into this community really change that? How did that make you fall in love with film, if you will? Because you've produced 2 now award-winning films, and they're both parts of your personal experience, if you will, of life in some shape or form. So how did that change that? Like, how do you have a moment, or was it just a short little integration? I want to. How did that happen for you?
I'd say with it happened kind of in two steps. At first there was, that initial introduction to the community being like, oh, this is a different way that I can tell stories. It's more up close, with opera, even the front row is so far back from the performers, and if you're all the way up in the back or in the mezzanine or anything, you're so far back. So it's such a no matter how dramatic it is or how emotional or personal it may feel, it's so far away. So discovering film, I was like, oh, this is a new medium in which I can get so much closer, I can delve even deeper. And then when I realized, I might actually have the ability to write my own stories and film them and tell my own, that was kind of like a little light bulb moment because everyone wants when I watch a movie, I'm always searching for something to identify with. Even if I'm watching something, to escape from, if I'm watching a horror movie or a really not really intricate plot action movie, I'm still identifying with something. I'm watching it for a reason. So when I'm searching for something and not seeing it, I'm like, wait, I can write that. Or I can, if I'm not seeing something conveyed in just society, in the world, or just in my life, I can instead write and film that. So that was like light bulb, I'm just going to do it. Everyone else, especially now in this day and age, they're like, well, why don't you just do it yourself? So I'm going to do it myself.
And you did. And I want to point out something that was just coming across my mind as I was sitting here thinking, and I was reflecting back on our conversations in the past. And again, I get the privilege of knowing you personally, on a much deeper level than most people do. And the confidence you have in your voice in portraying what you're doing now and what you love to do and creating is amazing. Like there's not a waver to your sound. And I hope you go back and listen to some of your other ones because you'll hear what I'm saying. But it's really, really cool to see that. Like you said, that foundation of resilience has kind of been built up for you now where you're starting to really know you and starting to really identify who you are. And these films help you do that. How has Perception was your first one? How how was doing that first one, how did that feel, taking that first step of responsibility, of accountability for a dream, for things that you really want to do that no one else would be capable of doing? And I don't mean in their skills and talents and what all the roles everybody needs to play, but I'm talking about in the idea and executing the feeling of what you're trying to portray. That's more than just, again, getting a cameraman and getting an actor or getting somebody to do it and writing a few words. How was that? How nerve-wracking was that, or how exhilarating was that?
Definitely both. It was once that date actually arrived, it was so exciting. And of course, once it did, something immediately went wrong, which was, of course, how everything goes. My location fell through. My very first production, and all of a sudden I have to reschedule, and I already have an act or not an actor, a crew member who had already arrived in town from out of town. I'm already like, oh no, what's going to happen? So, despite all the excitement, I already have something to get over, yet I found a way to get over it. We rescheduled. I had a wonderful crew member who understood and was able to still come and work with me. I was able to, I unfortunately had to recast my co-star, but that's, just what happens. And I realized that whenever the excitement comes, there's always going to be a hurdle to come with it to get over. So it's using that excitement to help you get over that hurdle. And I realized that like I had to do that with perception. And that was, with perception, it was more getting over the initial hurdles. After after that, it was pretty much smooth sailing through the end of the production. It went great. And then with, in contrast with Shadow Man, pre-production was pretty good. It went pretty smoothly. We had a couple hiccups. production also the same, pretty smoothly, a couple of hiccups. We got over a couple of hurdles as everyone does during production, but post-production is where we had the most trouble. So it's finding out during each one, where to apply that excitement. And either way, I still have that, immense excitement for each production. And it's finding out where to put that so it doesn't go off the rails in excitement wise or frustration wise.
Yeah, no. And I've watched you grow, and it's been so beautiful to see that, because you just mentioned something, and which is the thought process of learning. So like your next one, that like, hey, so this first one I did, I didn't even know what I was doing. So I showed up. And then I figured it out. The second one, I kind of knew what I was doing because there were some same patterns and some things that I needed in the first one. Okay, great. But now there's another element that I didn't know could potentially be a problem. I mean, I knew, but I didn't know. Then now it's like, okay, well, I've counted for all three problems. Am I now accounting for an already fifth problem that I have not foreseen? I have not, hasn't even brought to my attention. Does anybody have problems that they can foresee, And are we surrounding ourselves now with people who can see the problems before they happen so that we can solve them? Or are we surrounding ourselves with people who are saying just yes, yes, yes to every idea that we have? And then when we get on set, the problems that we see, they're like, well, I saw that a month ago. Well, you could have opened your mouth, okay? And I say this to say that comes down to also us to, as we now lead and as you're leading, to be like, hey, I'm open to having my idea be seen as flawed. Because, and not flawed in a way that they're so terrible, because y'all need to understand, constructive criticism and actually providing solutions, not creating more problems. There's two different, and then going like, this is my idea, I need to give my idea, you should have wrote your own film. So, or done whatever it is that you want to do. But this is me saying all of this to say that this is the same thing for your life, okay? Meaning that the communication, the planning, the strategizing, the navigating, all of that translates into your life and how you do your day-to-day in executing that. So if you think about, one of the reasons I fell in love with art and film productions is because I realized that my day-to-day is like a film production. It's like a set. And if it really is. And also, guys, my fun now is listening to congressional hearings and like Senate hearings and House hearings, because and it's not because of all the stuff, policies, political, whatever. It's really not. It's because I love studying human behavior, and what den to go into than that one to actually study human behavior by watching and listening to what they're saying and going like, none of y'all make any damn sense. So, and then I'm worried about that. Like y'all have, and that was what for me going, I was like, y'all have a bad stage manager. Y'all have a full on bad production manager. You can't produce nothing worthwhile. That made me start looking into myself. And that's what, like with Project Human and what we do with our project, it's the idea that showing up for a short amount of time can teach you how to show up for yourself on a short amount of time in your day-to-day life. So how have you used now these productions and this, the productions through Project Human, the volunteering events and what we do, and all of this art related, right? Avenues to be able to better your own day-to-day life?
It's funny because it links back to a quote that I just heard and read in one of my classes, my film class, and it was one of the directors said, we're talking about being actually in production, and he said a director's medal is forged on set, and it just makes me think, I want to expand that, because honestly, a director's medal, yes, is forged on set, but it's on and off set, because that pre and post production moment, especially in post, your medal is also tested. And it makes me think about how that applies to life now, is like my director medal is also helping forge my life medal, my resilience to be able to get through, like getting through these challenges that I've gotten through both on set and offset have helped me realize how I can get through certain challenges in my life on and offset.
Because because as a director's job is to give direction. Like, it's in the
Why not
name.
direct myself in my
It's
own
in the
life,
name,
right?
God. Direction. So it's like, if we're so, and that was, again, I go back to reflecting back on my times in my life when we worked earlier on, and I was involved in so much in the community, on the art scene and the film scene and all that. Like, I was as many as I could possibly be on, whether that was with hair, makeup, or, photography, or what. I was like, let me do it all. But I could do it for everyone else, and I could pull off everyone else's production, help everyone else's life, but I couldn't do it for myself. Like, I couldn't do my own dishes. I couldn't do my own bed. I couldn't get up and make my own self good. I couldn't get prepared for my own podcast that I dreamed of for so long. I couldn't do anything for myself. But yet, to the world, I was doing all the great stuff. And I think a lot of us in that space can look at someone and go, wow, you're fantastic. And that's on set, because the world is the set. So when you step out of your house, out of your, like, I like to call it the dungeon rooms of production and of pre-production and post-production, because that's where you're really at. Like, the set and the creation is when you're with people, but the dungeon rooms are where you're potentially with one or two people, and you're in the dark, man, trying to figure it all out, and then trying to figure it all afterwards. But when you're in that, again, that stage setting, you're performing for the world. You're not necessarily your whole self all the time, because there is a character you put on. There's a persona. And whether you want it to be or not, you do. And I know I do. I have it. I can put it on and off in a second. But that persona also, if you know it, if you know where you're at with it, and maybe your professional persona or your fun persona, or those are all characters that we write in scripts, you guys. So why not write your own script? Why not direct your own life? And if you don't want your persona to be agitated today because you've got crappy people in your life, then fire them. You're the director. And I say this with all understanding that the actual setting and stage and what we're talking about in this, fairy tale world that somebody might call it, is different from reality. I do. But the thought process isn't. The thought process isn't. The actions maybe, your circumstances maybe, your everything else maybe, but the thought process isn't. You still get to control.
There's always some truth in it.
Yeah, there's like, the thought process isn't. So as much as we want to say, oh, you don't understand. No, I do understand that the thought process is how you decide your life is going to be. Again, I'm not saying that your circumstances of not having food on the table or having a home or having that does not impact and cannot make you feel so terrible. But at the end of the day, what's the one thing that, even without all, like, resilience? We talk about resilience all the time. We talk about how that is a trait, is one of the most, at least I talk about it. I don't know if the rest of the world would like to talk about it. They should. But I think that it's one of the most important traits that we are missing in this world. Because the moment somebody slaps you with a word of going like, no offense, but I mean all for you to be offended if you're offended. And then you're, oh my God, my whole world. And it's like, okay, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, existence, and their right and their life. So are you entitled to changing how you decide to perceive something. Like, you're literally in that. And I did a quote thing the other day, or I did a little post on there, and you're mad at me, guys. I'm going to say it. You're in America. You're entitled to be stupid. And you are so free to be stupid. You are so free to be stupid. And I say this word with all due respect. Seriously, it's not to your intellect. It is not to your intellect. It is to your inability to see the patterns or ability to see the patterns and not do anything about it to change that. Because if you really look back at the old saying of stupid, it's the idea that you're lazy to do anything about the circumstances you're in, or where you're at, or what's going on, because, well, you're not wanting to do it. So it's like, don't be stupid about your life, because when you know something, do it. Just because you do a little bit better doesn't mean that it's not better than what you had. So anyway, I'll say all that to say that, again, the freedom to change our mind, the freedom to perceive something, the freedom to utilize our lives, our traumas, our everything, and go, you know what? I'm going to change it. It's literally nobody's responsibility, and nobody needs to care. But I need to care. Did you get to that point where you feel that way? Because I know it's been in the past where we've talked about it, where, again, and we need that. We need the care. We need the validation of others too. We need all of that. But, like, did you get to the point where you're like, now I'm like, you're like, no, I'm good?
I think I'm reaching that point, but I'm still building my way to it. I still have things that I need to, still grow past and but I'm still working on it. So I feel like I'm climbing my way to it.
Good, because because I see it and I feel it in you. And the reason why I asked that and I said that is because I see it and feel it in you. Because before it was so much harder to, again, the conversations you and I have had before and the way we ran the relationship we've built, it's to see you climbing on that and going, I'm like, dude, thank you. So thank you. I appreciate that. Again, I had somebody call me, what did they say? Something about being some bad words. And I was like, you're damn right. Like, okay. Yeah, like you're damn right. If that deserves your medal for you directing your life today to make you feel better, okay, you're damn right. Okay, that's fine. Have a good day. But I wasn't able to do that before either. And being part of communities, again, art, expression, and what you're navigating, like with the documentary that we build and these conversations, just the fact that you're here to have the conversation when I remember your first interview and I remember how nervous you were and how unsure of yourself you were to today being like, you may not be 100% sure, like I'm sure today. I'm also 40, so it's like, well, I'm not there yet, but close enough. So it's like, I got a couple years on you. But you are also there where you're sure of yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a
It's
little bit of your sureness of yourself?
yeah, it's that sureness that I know that I'll still get up, like I still have those hurdles to get over, those particular doubts in my mind or those nagging, demons that won't go away, uh but it's that surety that, I'm going to keep fighting them. It's that surety that I am that resilient and I've been that resilient so I can be that resilient. It's just
Absolutely.
reminding myself of that.
Yeah, it's reminding yourself. I think you would describe yourself as a highly empathetic and sensitive being in the world, and not in a negative way, just that you observe and perceive the world, and it's a lot. So you're more sensitive to it. Um, how how do you now learning to like honor that sensitivity and honor um the emotions and that empath of you? Because I know for me, for a long time, Adela, you're too much, you feel too much, you're too sensitive, you're too this, you're too that, like it's too much. When in reality, the world was too much for me. Like when I tell you it was too much for me, so I was giving what I felt. Whether or not the people around me were at that high energy level or that emotional level, like the world itself was vibrating at a frequency that I necessarily could not process my whole life. And so that expression, that exaggeration, or that temperament, as they would like to call it, or we don't know what Adela's going to do next, and I'm not excusing my behaviors, guys, or any of the stuff that I've like, believe me, I do not excuse the behaviors, understand them, reflect on it, be able to look back on it and go, oh man, it wasn't me per se, because it was the world that was too much, pumping me with too much information, too much of expectation, too much ideas of things that could be, would be, shouldn't be, how they could be. And they're all different because everybody has a different opinion on how life should be. And I can't fit into anyone's opinion of how life should be. So how are you honoring your ability to protect yourself today, right? From the opinions of how the world should be, that doesn't make you feel like you're suffocating or not meeting expectations or not meeting certain societal standards that, again, you even mentioned earlier, where you didn't think you would be where you are today. But what are the good parts of your thought of not being where you thought be according to the opinions and social standards, because you're too empathetic and too much?
I mean, because yeah, I still hear everything caught.
Pausing for a sec. All right. Go ahead, I'm paused.
I think because honestly, I still hear it's not easy to get past, sometimes oh, you're too much. It's you're feeling too much. And I always, feel the emotion, so easily inside of me that it's it's finding that outlet to use that emotion, that creative furnace in which to, feed it. And that's how I've, found with doing perception and getting, you know, all of my with perception, video call, knock knock. And I did not write Shadow Man, but with directing it and putting, my own experience as a sibling in and through it, it's given me that ability to just put those things right in front of people, make them face it. Not only, this is, not just saying, this is my life, see it, but this is also your life. This, I know you also identify with this in your life, in your friend's life, maybe, or in your family's life. There's something in this that you are going to recognize. So, am I really too emotional, or are you just not fully realizing that you are also connected too? It's not an inability to realize, it's just a disconnection. And it's the fact that I want to bridge that connection, that I'm realizing that that's all it is. It's that the disconnection is making people just label one another and not realize that, oh, we are experiencing these very similar and real things. So that's how I get over it. Or not necessarily get over it. That's how I use it.
That's how you're
and experience.
processing and getting through it and finding different ways. It's because I know this from experience, because I've had plenty of humans tell me, and one in particular tell me, Adela, you make people feel. And
Good.
That's scary. And it's like, when I remember when I was told that, mind you, I was told that by, high-end people, high people with resumes, all kinds of stuff. I don't even want to give what position, just high people. But I was told that. And I sat there and I remember looking at that being going, well, that means I've won. Like, I remember something settling in me, because this whole world is taught not to feel. That's why we're in situations where we're at. Or we're feeling way too much and not having a conversation. Again, the spectrum is right there. There's not a balance on it. And you can't balance emotion, because everybody feels a little different, a little bit this way, then that's great. However, there can be some kind of like even playing field where we can all navigate a little bit. So none of us are dropping to one end or the other, right? Like, so that nobody's necessarily drowning on one side or the other. But we're not willing to do that, because we don't look at each other as human beings, and that we're navigating this world together as a human experience. And what does that mean? What does it mean when you don't have a name, when you don't have a label, when you don't have a home, when you don't have anything other than yourself and this being to experience what this world has to offer? I have a question that I keep asking myself all the time, and this is now a daily question. What would I do if there was no one on this planet? And that includes my family, like no one on this planet. What would I do? Would I sit and lay in my bed crying all day because there's no one else in this world and I'm so lonely, so lonely? Like, would I? I can't, ADHD. It's like the instant song that comes in from like remembering something.
I heard it too. It's in my head now.
Yeah, no, it's like, or would I be like, well, how would I cultivate and create exactly what I would want? But that would mean that I would have to do every step of it. It would mean that there would be no one to consult with. There would be no one to help me bring over the wood for the shed or the house, or no one to teach me electricity so that I can podcast with myself. Like, what would we be doing if we were the only being on this planet? And it's like, I would want to wake up every day feeling like I am the luckiest being to be alive, because I'm the only being. And I don't mean that, again, there's not, but when you feel that like you are alive and you're the only one that can make something out of your day today, like even this morning, spilled my milk, all kinds of stuff, went on all kinds of stuff, but I made that. Like I did that. Even if there were people or no people around, like that would still happen. That would still happen. And it's like, well, I spilled the milk. Okay, go wipe it. Oh, I fell in shit. Okay, go clean yourself up. Like that happens, guys. But that's always like that was a question I was so afraid to ask because it would feel like, oh, Adela, you don't care about your family. Or Adela, like, no, I care deeply, which is why I'm asking it. What responsibility and accountability would fall upon you yourself if you didn't have the responsibility of a family or your community or anything else? Like, what true being would you be? And that's saying, who are you when no one's watching? Like, that's what that means. Like, what is, how do you see that? How do you think about, what do you think of that?
I see it as like, who are you? Who would you truly present yourself as? You know, like, because you wouldn't be afraid to, you know, like, as people say, you wouldn't be afraid to put on that mask anymore, you know? So it's like, it gives you the opportunity to see how you would truly express yourself and maybe explore that, you know, and explore like what truths do I actually want to tell? What truths am I afraid to tell just because I'm afraid of what other people are going to say or see or whatnot, how I'm going to be, you know, treated. And so that's why, you know, and that helps you create and essentially like become an artist because then it forces you to actually be like, okay, well, I have to be on that island. I have to be that only person on the planet so that I can show you guys that you're not, you
Right.
know, it's so I
Even
can find individuality so we can all be individual together. It's finding that.
because, yeah, because when you do come eventually together, you go, oh, I really have this experience and this perspective. And this is the narrative and the foundation I stand on. Can you find any value in it? Oh, no? Okay, great. I'll go find another place that might find value in it. Oh, you can? What kind of value? Oh, you only need one word of that value? Oh, okay, great. Oh, you need more of that value? Oh, I can give you. I have more skills. Oh, you need, like, when we look at the value that we could provide and we can serve to others, and then we get offended when we're not taken for the whole value, like, no, don't take me for my whole value. Like, I'm not offended. Don't want me. Like, don't want me. You don't want Adela. Don't be like, oh, I want, no, don't want Adela. Don't want her at all. Don't want her at all. And again, nothing against me or any, but when I look at like the value, I would rather be able to be like, how can I serve you either at a small dose, or if I decide that I want to give you the value of my full self and do it in the way that it deems more present, like intentional to me, more whatever, like that control, that level of placing the value that you don't get to place the value on me. Like, oh, Adela, you're so great. Like, and then I go, yay. And I say this because again, I did that. I did it. I ran to every validation. Like, all of you who are listening, who have listened, which by the way, thank you for listening. But those of you who've listened, who like me, maybe don't like me so much, know what I'm talking about when I say I've been the pick me girl. Pick me. I want to be the best. Oh my God. But I did it through art, and I did it through my skills, and I did it through other ways, not realizing I was just seeking your validation and seeking your attention so that I could feel valued, when internally, like, I am valued. But out of that, again, because of that, I learned so many skills. So now I really am valuable. Like, I really, really am valuable. Like, you can't say no. Like, you can't say no. So that growth of progression through our experiences, through the ability to, what are we doing when we're not being looked at, when we're not, what kind of environments and relationships are we creating? Are they peaceful? Are they safe? Are they, and it all depends on the relationship we have with us and with ourselves. And so, like, you have a better relationship with yourself now, and you don't tolerate so many things from yourself anymore. How would you define now your idea of an environment and a relationship with these new boundaries to be safe, or to be, what would that be for you now compared to what it was before?
I'd say I'm not willing to, how to put it, it's like give unreciprocatingly, you know, like I'm not a just a well, you know, I am a pitcher. You know, I have a limited amount of water. So it is, or I should say like I'm not a spring, a fresh spring well, you know, like like so it's learning that, you know, that I cannot constantly give and give and give. I actually have to, you know, think it's give and take, it's work together. It's so it's realizing that that's what I am also only willing to tolerate. So, you know, it's recognizing, you know, learning yourself. And once you learn yourself, you realize, oh, that's actually what I'm looking for too. So that's what I'm willing to allow around me in my space, who I'm willing to work with, who I'm willing to, you know, spend time with. Just in general, it's like it just helps me realize the actual qualities that matter, the communication, the realness versus the masks.
The imaginations that we create. And remember, we talk about this all the time, the expectations versus requirement. Real life is requirement. Real life requires you to show up. Real life requires you to wake up every day, requires you to, again, brush your teeth, make your bed, put your clothes on. Those are requirements. Those aren't expectations. Like when we talk about, oh, I expect you to put your clothes on. No, you're required. I don't want to see your butt naked. That's not part of that. Like you're required. This whole like expecting you to put your clothes on. Again, that's small. Guys, I'm reaching small, bare minimum, like basic level so that you understand it's the same concept to the rest of your life. The idea that you are expecting others to show up or to do or to whatever might be versus requirements. And having requirements means knowing yourself, knowing your boundaries, knowing your non-negotiables, knowing what you want, where you are, what you need, and going, now that I have all of this information for myself, the requirement is it's a job application. And this is going to sound terrible, you guys, from what I say, but anything I do for me is I look at it through the lens of a job application. Are we valuable to each other? Am I going to provide you with some sustainability, whether that's through a project or an actual job or through a conversation? Am I going to provide you with some value that you're going to be able to walk away from and go, oh man, okay, that felt good. I know that I need it. I got something. I got a penny out of it. Like I got a penny out of it. I got a penny. And if you don't get a penny, like you should go look outside. There's a lot of pennies on the floor, but I got a penny out of it. And then if you're able to do and build more and provide more and you're like, oh, really? Crap. Now I'm building relationships. Now I'm doing something more valuable because I see my own values and I'm not going back on my non-negotiables. I know what I want because I know what's required of me.
But it's also, I also wanted to say, it's also holding myself up to that standard too. And realizing and recognizing, you know, like when I fall short on that and making sure I hold myself accountable. So, you know, it's twofold because then if I don't, then I fall into that hole or that unfortunate like situation where I'm actually taking that water and I'm not growing in the way that I should. You know, it's always got to be that twofold.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The introspection of oneself and being aware of like who we are, what we want, how we want to say them, why we want to say them, all of that. And then being able to come out and go, here, I also know a little bit more about you too. And I know a little bit about this and I know a little bit about this. Explain to me more. Give me this more. Are we in this? Because I'm wrong. I'm wrong. And that's the part that I've learned too is I'm 100% right for my life. 100%. I'm also wrong 100% for my life. So like, just know that too. Like, I'm not saying this to like I'm right, I'm wrong. I am for my life. But so are you for your life. Like when we meet, we're 50-50 right or wrong. Like we make up 100. We make up 100 of like going, hey, now we're going to come together. Like 50% of this idea is good. 50% of this idea is bad, Adela. I might come into you and give you my 50% of worst. And I might need to be humbled and be put down and be like, Adela, that attitude, that face, that idea, that whole stank, that whole stomp, that whole all of it needs to like, that's not what we're looking for. We don't want to have anything to do with that. You have no contribution at all. And then I'm like, I'm right. And then you're like, for your life, that's great. For this, we need the other one, the one that's going to participate, the one that's going to be a part of something. but you don't know that, like what parts of you are who you are unless you learn your requirements. And again, it's not the requirements of the world, but your requirements, so that you can hold it accountable, you can put it out there. And again, I say the things that I say of like, it's a job requirement, it's this, because it is. I've applied for this job and somehow I got this job position called life. And I have to store this life. And I did not receive any formal education, nor handbook. And all the teachers I've had have all been wrong. Some parts
They've all
right.
been, they all have like only a little bit,
Right,
and
some
they're trying.
parts. And I've had to learn, and I've had to make notes and the highlighter and write my own textbook and still come in there. And then I've had to learn a whole language that I'm supposed to take. Apparently, that's what they say. You should learn 2 languages. Well, I've had to learn life language, and that language is complicated, okay? We don't all speak the same life language. So the idea that I have applied, that I've like, again, I may not have applied for this job because I'd be getting a lot of roles I shouldn't be getting. But because you're leaders, you guys. That's what humanity is, leading, hopefully not to destruction, but to creation. And so if we can at least lead one by one in our own individual path, we can win. This is Adela's, again, hopeful thinking to Mars. Like, I'm over there, utopia, we did it. None of that reality. That's expectation. Reality is we ain't there. So I'm required to come back to this level and be like, all right, where are we at? Because I'm stupid too. So coming in and really navigating, like you said, understanding that we are the applicants of this life. We've applied. We've got the job for some reason, even if we didn't apply ourselves. That could be like the Harry Potter goblet, like, where he threw his name in there and they're like, he didn't even throw his name into there and he had to fight life. Like, that's what it is. So like, you have to go fight life. You have to go fight. You have to win the goblet. You have to figure it out. And there's going to be some casualties. Hopefully it's not you, and be nicer about it and then write your book and figure it out. That's the job requirement of this life. And how do you get to be the better version every single day? And again, it starts with the accountability, like you said too. And I'm just so proud of how far you have come, Claire. I have watched you. I have been in your private circle for a long time now. And to see you standing here and strong in your foundation, in your resilience, in starting to really understand your non-negotiables and your boundaries, which that part is so, it's so insane to me to even like the fact that we have to sit and like the fact there should be awards, like we should be giving awards for like for real, because Oscars, and like how hard is it to do this? How hard is it to really set your boundaries and learn them and say no to life and say no to what you know and say no to people and disappoint and get people mad at you and not like you, and like that is hard because we're in our social construct, and our contract of this existence is to please each other, like to be nice and kind to each other, like that's what, so in whatever form and shape that may be necessary. But when you're not and you say no, when you go and it's not for me, well, you're disrupting this whole like ecosystem. And so for you to be disruptive in an ecosystem and be a nuisance of this idea that we should be how everyone else should be in the world, of going like, no, I'm good with disappointing, I'm good with saying no, I'm good with failing on my own, I'm good with this, I'm good with that, the people that are going to be there are going to be there. Like, for you and I to have that conversation, that's a miracle, because I don't think we would, had we not been growing in our own ways and doing this, we wouldn't be here having these conversations. Like, I know that, and it'd be a whole different story of where we would be. And it would be a tragedy if we weren't allowed to have those conversations. And like, I believe so, because it suffocates, right?
Very much so. And it's not only like, it's figuring out how to get through that suffocation, because it unfortunately it is I don't want to say suffocating, it's debilitating, because to be like redundant, but it's debilitating, and it's not just, there's no cure-all. It's finding the resources that you can use to get through that. And fortunately, luckily, however you want to put it, I've been able to find those people and resources to help me find that. So it's just making sure that, you know, you fortunately, you luckily, you resourcefully find that either for yourself through yourself, through other people, through organizations like Fing, through friends, family,
Serve
through
yourself, steward yourself, like, and that means serve others. Like, it's literally serve and show up for others. When you don't know what to do, go volunteer. And not necessarily just for our organization or that, but go volunteer. Go volunteer at a soup kitchen, go volunteer at the homeless shelter, go to a park and volunteer to watch the birds, like by watching and having a mental health day, like be a park ranger for the day. I don't know, but get outside of yourself. We're so caught up in our own ideas of what we should be, could be, would be, where we would be, that we forget that the world doesn't even care that we exist. It doesn't even care we exist. So why are we building an idea of something for the world that doesn't care that who we exist, instead of an idea that of just a handful of human beings who we've created a beautiful world that knows I exist, that can remember me for my smile or my showing up or my tenaciousness, or like what is that part of your life that you'd want to be remembered by, as we navigate. I know these questions seem morbid for those of you who are like Adela, but these are the real life questions of when you're talking about mental health, when you're talking about art, when you're talking about expression, when you're talking about creativity. We're talking about honesty with oneself, honesty with the world, honesty and real authenticity with the world that you have to navigate, with the life that you have to navigate, with the emotions that you have to navigate and express, and you don't know how to. And that means asking the questions of what would be, and really sitting down with it. Have you sat down with yourself and like, what would be the situations of my life? Because we've had these discussions, and this is not, none of these questions that I'm asking her are like, by the way, you guys are like, oh, we've had discussions, but like, have you thought about it too in a way that like, what would I want to leave behind? Like, what kind of like, what part of me what painting would I like to leave behind?
no, of course. It's funny because if you look at my first short film, I kind of even show you even in like the even in the poster, when I want to hold up that empathic mirror, like I want to be the empathic mirror to humans, to the world, make them see what life is, what their experience is, rather than what they think it is, the mask that they keep putting on, or like the fancy shine over everything. I want to hold up that, I want to make them feel and realize that empathy and feeling it is the mirror. It like that is the mirror of society. Like I not only through pretty much every single work that I do, it's got that empathy in it. And like in a sense, even with the book that I wrote, the one the whole trilogy that I'm actually trying to build, with this whole world with dissonance, literally with empathy being criminalized and almost weaponized in a way, because people nowadays, it is that fear of empathy, fear of showing emotion, expressing emotion, even having emotion. So what would happen if you take that away? What if the empaths are unfortunately used in that process? What happens to them? What happens to you? What happens to society? So in the whole scope of things, I feel like that's what I want people to think of. I'm going to a much more specific, much more personal situation, in the book, and in how I am presenting it to everyone. But in essence, that is the whole story of like what I want people to realize and see is like, you need that empathic mirror.
Yep.
You need to you can't look away. You can't be a vampire to it. It's your reflection. It's not like your reflection isn't there. It's there. You
Yep.
have to face it. I'm
And
gonna make you.
absolutely, because that's what builds your resilience. Like, that's what builds your resilience, is the ability to feel and face the emotions that you are feeling, not necessarily. And again, I'm speaking strictly not somebody who's fighting a war right now and all that. Like, there's obviously certain exceptional situations, but when we're talking about an everyday general life, we're talking about facing that mirror in ourselves and looking at it and building that resilience and being able to look ourselves in the mirror and going like, I know, again, who I am, what I'm doing, how I'm navigating it. Which brings us to, I want to talk about Runway to Resilience for a minute because I'm really, really, really excited. So Claire is also, yeah. So we've been talking about all this stuff, and I am now learning to be shameless. I'm learning to be shameless in what all the stuff I've done, because that's been my flaw, if you will, is that I just do and move on. I do and move on. I'm not seeking, don't care. But I know I've done a lot of good work. I know we've done a lot of good work. And so part of this is me now, again, learning to have that conversation myself on the good work that we do. So let's talk about Runway to Resilience. Runway to Resilience is our annual fashion fundraiser that is happening September 19th. We're really, really excited about it. And the idea is a butterfly garden. We promote and advocate for suicide prevention. Like, we really just advocate for life. We want you to live. We want humans to live at all ages, spaces, places. We want breath to exist on this world because it matters. You matter, and you're worth that breath. You're worth the effort of it. Like, if we're talking about short, like, that's what we do. That's what we do. If you want more professional, detailed, go look at our website and you can find out all that. But like, in essence, that's what we do. And that's what we stand for. That's what our vision and mission is. And we use art. We use the creative space and the world of expression to be able to bring you that idea and fortify it, validate it, that you're worth the effort of creation and of life. Like, that's what we do. So Runway Resilience is my way of saying thank you to the community for allowing me to grow these last few years and fortify my own narrative and understand it. And through the conversations we've had and interviews we've held, and the idea that you see a human navigating her life, navigating identities that she didn't know she had, she couldn't understand, that she had to connect to hear, truths that she definitely didn't want to face, and then to look and turn to a community and turn to art and be able to heal from it. And I really am healed. Like, I don't mean I'm healed forever, that there's not things that are going to pop up, that I still don't have symptoms, that things are like, but I am healed. Like, I am healed compared to, and Claire will vouch for that, compared to who I was when I started to who I am today, 180. And it's beautiful. That's the idea of a runway to resilience, is that you can make your own runway to your own resilience. You can fly your own way. And why butterfly themes? Because we're all flying in one way or another towards a goal, towards something. And butterflies are so fragile in this life. They're so very strong for what they have to navigate in their wingspan, but they're so fragile in their early stages, just like we are in our human life. And at any given moment, just the right level of wind or the right level of not hitting the right path, and the mission that you're on and the trajectory you're on changes. And so the idea that we are the human beings who are butterflies coming into a garden that we create, and we get to enjoy and feed each other of nectar and like the food and the flowers and the love through emotion, through art, through this experience that just fuels the soul. We're trying to feed the soul and celebrate human life and honor the humans who have sacrificed for us, who are sacrificing for us, not just our veterans, but our nurses and our caregivers and our caretakers out right now in the world who are in this heat doing stuff. There's every single one of us is a human being who should be honored and celebrated for the idea of stewarding our lives, and yet we don't. And so anyway, that's the runway to resilience. It's a long story, short story, long, to bring it into to Claire being one of our models. And as you can see on this side, I'm making pieces. That's one of the, like, we're working on it. Stuff is happening. So tell them your model. Tell them about what you think about it, how you feel about it, what you hope to get out of it, and where they should buy a ticket. And they should buy a ticket from you.
All right. Well, gosh, where do I begin? I'm just so excited to honestly be a part of something both behind and in front with Project Human, because it's so exciting to see how it's being built and how it's being created, and like the thought process in it and the thought process through it, and then to actually see it come to life. What I'm really excited to see is, or just honestly just really inspired about, is the whole butterfly, because it's rebirth, it's butterflies go through, like from the caterpillar to the butterfly, they go through such a drastic change. And not to say that like, because everyone in their life goes through, we go through so many things, so many different things, so many like things, but everyone has their own unique human experience, and everyone goes through something that will, as you say, like, as we started out the very beginning of this conversation, that will kind of set the tone of whether you're going to be following in this path that you thought, that you're going to do, or whether or not it's going to divulge completely, transform a little bit or whatnot. But there's always that moment. So instead of being afraid of that moment, we're celebrating that moment. And that's something, to really appreciate, because it's a scary moment. You don't think that's scary for the caterpillar too? Like, oh my goodness. I can't even imagine. I don't want to. But in a way, I am, and I do, because that's what we're going through. So that's what we're showing. We're showing it in a beautiful way that helps people realize, oh, we can get through it. So like you said, Project Human does things a lot of the time creatively, and this is just such like not only a tangible way to help, people who attend, to experience it, to help the community with fundraising and with the documentary, but to also just, to help the people who attend and help
Well,
them
to share,
inside.
yeah, and to
Well,
share now.
I mixed it up.
Absolutely. No, that's okay. Yeah, yeah. But to also just share now we're getting ready to launch the documentary to film festivals. We're going to be doing the conversation a little bit bolder and bigger in the coming years. And that's because I'm bolder and bigger in my, again, stance too. I was a child when I started this a couple of years ago, and I'm literally going to be 40 you guys this coming year. And I was a child when I just started this 5-6 years ago. I was a child. And to be coming into an adult mind and to stand here and see that resilience, it literally is how like, now in my stage of delicate flowery, okay? I'm a delicate flower. That's what I am right now. I don't need to be a fighter, because I was a fighter. I had to fight. I had to fight through break that cocoon. I had to fight through breaking the constraints of the world and what that narrative is and how it should be, to then going like, I'm a delicate flower, take me with the wind. And for me then to be able to provide fuel and life through a conversation or through a hug or through what we do in our MCCs or quarterly mental health day, and through a sticky note, through our red envelopes, the idea that I get to provide some sort of fuel, spread life, sustainability through that is priceless to me. And what we're doing with Runway to Resilience is giving the opportunity to not just ourselves to say, hey, we did it. Like, this is a community event that's been built and been doing our documentaries, over $200,000 worth of in-kind donations, interviews, the talent, skills, businesses participating, so much of it going into this idea of that we're worth a conversation. We're worth spending a little time with each other and navigating this life to see if we can grow, and then to grow and to see the growth and to see the evolution, to see the butterfly, the caterpillar become the butterfly. And that to me is, no matter what age or space you're in, that's what's so beautiful about it. And what's beautiful about what we do is there really is no age or there's no identity restriction. Like, we literally, human being. Are you a human being? And do you fit into what we're doing right now with this project? Do you find space to be in there that you can share your skill, your talent, you want to support, you want to do that? Guess what we do? We have a conversation and then you're on board, right, Claire? Like, that's the one thing that really is beautiful about us, is that we do not assign you a label other than human. And we want you to experience what it means to be human, to not be looked at for whatever, again, you were given. But other than you're human, who are you? And what can you contribute to this one small little part that can make it so big? But your small little contribution is the most valuable part of our contribution, because it actually makes it so big for someone else. That's the whole process of what we're doing. And that, like, again, that brings me so much joy, the fact that we can contribute that. Some of the models we have on our team outside of Claire is, we have moms that are coming in from down south, actually, too, which is great. We have, and again, we have 16-year-olds and we have our women in our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, or maybe 40s. I'm not giving you the exact ranges, but think about it. We have them. And we have women and we have humans participating who are veterans, who have gone through identity changes, or who have in just the existence of their own selves. Like we have one human who's, I wouldn't think of anything of it, but what's the, now it's this kid, vitiligo? Ooh, what's that skin condition that the melanin? I completely forget it. I'm so sorry, you guys, because my brain. But when we had our conversation, I would have never thought to have the thoughts or the perception or the understanding when I heard her say. And so when I questioned, I was like, and so it must have felt this way, and it must have felt this way, and it must have, because they don't understand, but it must have. It was, what a beautiful way to connect, because it was like, wow, thank you for understanding and asking the question. And thank you. Wow. And now to actually tell her story through what we're doing and being like, here's a transformation and a piece of you that not only that you had to identify for yourself and a whole visual aspect through fashion, through art, we get to put you into something else too and show you how beautiful you are and show you the transformation that you've had to walk through. And that's what makes me so proud when we create projects, when we do these things. And we'd love for you to buy a ticket, by the way. Also, we'd love for you to sponsor. We have sponsorship opportunities. We also have vendor opportunities. If you're interested in being a vendor, you can also provide in-kind donations or volunteer. We need all the help we can get. We would love to have you a part of this, because this is the ending to the documentary. We want to end the documentary of stories that we have human stories, and we can all connect on an emotional level of going, hey, I'm going through something. And I can connect on the, I'll call it negative stage. It's not negative. It's just an emotion of going through something. It's a bad time. It's a somber time. It's trials and tribulations. But we don't have celebration about it. I want to celebrate the trials and tribulations. I want to celebrate every step we took. I want to celebrate every moment that it took to get here, because it was like we've talked about, suffocating, and yet we found a way to breathe. It was choking at points, and yet we found a way to loosen the chokehold. It was so far removed from our reality, yet it became fruition. I want to celebrate that. I want to celebrate the failures that we look at and go, man, I can't believe that sucked. But guess what? We still did it. We still showed up. The idea isn't to celebrate the project win. It's the idea of showing up. We're worth showing up for. We're worth the conversations. We're worth coming together to celebrate life. And that, to me, is what's missing right now in the world of everything that's going on. And I'm not saying that we don't have events and we're not creating and curating like experiences. But what about the actual human experience of life? And with that, I have one last question for you, Claire. The artist within sees herself or is creating herself to be blank.
Oh, understood.
I love that.
Yeah.
Understood. I love that. Oh, I love that. Okay. Leave our community off with what you've got going on, where they can find your work, and to buy your ticket.
Yes. Let's see. I have all of my materials on my website, or through my website, I should say, at www.clairelouisehuder.com. You can also find me on Instagram at Cinder Redhead. So that's Cinderella, make it redhead, only one R. And on Facebook through Claire Louise Huder, both actor, model, and just my regular page where I promote everything really. And I have Shadow Man, my most recent short film that is currently out on other festivals. And currently, its next premiere is going to be at the Jacksonville Real Pulse Film Festival in November. So if you want to see it, come up to Jacksonville and see it then. But until then, come see me in the runway for the Runway to Resilience. And if you want tickets, you can get a special $25 off if you use my name, Claire, Claire, with 25. And is that on Eventbrite? Or I want to make sure I do the right
It's on
one.
our website, so go through our website. I do believe we have our Eventbrite. If it's not on right now, it will be on by the end of this conversation, because I forgot to respond to messages, so I could say yes, but it's not. But it's on our website, www.phinc-ing.org. Straight on the homepage, you can click the tickets, buy your ticket through there. You'll have to buy it through there anywhere, or our Facebook pages. You'll find anywhere in there, LinkedIn event page, search Runway to Resilience, and you will find the direct link. And get your ticket, because her tickets are all the way up until our ticket sale ends. You will get your 25% or $25 off if you are using one of our model codes. So all of our models have their own code, their own name, so that way they are helping promote and build their own audiences as well. And again, the idea isn't just with what we do here, Project Human, to build Project Human and what we're doing. It's also to build the humans that are within it and provide them their opportunities to accelerate whatever it is that they're looking at to do, whether that's to network more, that is to get their name out more, or just to experience being part of something that they've never been a part of. And those are the opportunities we create. So we would love to have you follow us, love, subscribe, do all that stuff, and go listen to all of our podcasts. Claire, I thank you so much for coming on again. I thank you for participating. I thank you for being a volunteer and for everything else that you do in between. And most importantly, I thank you for showing up every day for yourself. Again, I know how hard it is and has been, but it makes me so joyful to see you climbing it now and seeing you see your ladder and your bridge and being like, no, I got it. I may not have all the tools. I may not have all the resources, yes, but I got it. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, because like I said, I remember the day I met you. I remember looking at you going like, there's something there. There's something there. And to start seeing it really, that foundation settle, it's a beautiful thing. So be proud of yourself. I'm very proud of you. And I look forward to all the great things you're going to accomplish. Congratulations to Shadow Man and everything else that you've done, and to your crew. And congratulations to everyone else who's participating and doing all the good stuff out there in our community right now. So until next time, adios.